strip club workers of Reddit, what is your best worst story from the job? Walked into the kitchen and saw one of the girls sitting bottomless on a prep counter. Never, ever eat at a strip club. Usually you gotta pay extra for that. I used to bartend at a club in college. One of the dancers, who was fairly new, was trying a new move on the pole where she hooked her leg around it and stretched her body out so she was parallel to the floor. Well, she fell on her face. There was a lot of blood. As the bouncer and I were helping her off the stage, one of the customers dipped his finger in it and tasted it. And that's the story about how you almost caught Jack the Ripper. Best, some nerdy kid who won big at a local casino came in and pretty much bought out the place and was acting like the king of the world. It was hilarious, awesome and oddly heartwarming as the kid was actually a sweetheart and didn't really have any bad motivations. He just wanted to feel like a badass big shot and have cool pics for his Facebook page while he made it rain. I heard on the local radio station, someone called in and said a guy made it rain at the strip club, bent down and picked up all the money, then made it rain again. Oh man. I was a cocktail server at a strip club. Monday nights were super slow. One of the older strippers, when it was her turn on stage, just laid down and texted instead. She didn't make much. Also much nonsense went on in the club I worked at. There was the time we hosted an all-male review only to have the guys delayed 30 minutes. So the club owners put myself and another girl on stage to fill the time. Heck hath no fury like 300 ladies who came to see dudes, not me doing a fan dance. The funniest was a guy with a butt fetish who became enamored with one of the girls. She set me up to talk to him so she could catch him talking to another girl. His punishment was light and he seemed to be really happy with the show we were putting on for him. From there on out he'd show up wearing a shirt he'd made bearing the word so and so's butt slave. He was the best customer, lots of money, never inappropriate, and knew it was just a crafted fantasy. I waitressed at a club in northeastern KS during my sophomore year of college. An older guy, about 65-70 years old, and his friends come in one evening. They find their seats tables, so I cruise on by and ask if they would like a drink. As soon as I ask, older guy yells, "I want a dance from you," in the creepiest backwards hick accent I have ever heard. I politely decline, offer to send a lady of his choice over. He proceeds to repeat his request. I say a firm no. Over the course of the next 2 hours, he continued to badger me, louder and louder each time. Finally, after his 20th time asking me, and also getting no dances from the ladies working, I ask him why he has to have a dance from me specifically. His reply, "Because you look just like my granddaughter." I'm late to this, but at the club where I work we had a banana sucking contest. It was basically a chocolate covered banana on a stick where you would bend down and suck it. I was drinking and was one of the first girls up. I thought the idea was to get all the chocolate off, so I went up on stage, started scratching it with my teeth, thinking I was doing an awesome job getting the chocolate off of that bad boy. Well, the contest was who could suck it the hottest. I'm sure I made many people cringe that night. This hasn't happened at our club, but I have heard dancers talk about how other girls pee them off, so they would literally squat over the bag of the hated dancer and take a dump in it. Worst, the time someone bit my butt during a lap dance. I straight up thought about kicking him in the throat with my 6-in platforms. I had a bite-sized bruise on my booty after for a while. Best, the night I first met one of my favorite regulars. He was sitting alone at the bar and most of the girls who worked at the club avoided him. Now in this industry that must mean he is either disgusting or doesn't spend $$. I sat down next to him and started to talk about his day, what he does, and why he was here. He worked in construction and just spent time to relax and have a beer. He then turned the conversation and started to ask about me, why I was working there, and somehow our conversation turned into talks about literature, chemistry, and philosophy. Even though I was practically half naked, he complimented my brain before he looked at my body. He spent over $150 on me for just talking to him. I never gave him a dance, and every time he came in after, he would just chat with me and give me money for his therapy sessions. He was my favorite customer because he treated and respected me as a human. That was my best night because I realized I can still be treated the same as everyone else despite of what I do. Sometimes, all you want is a good conversation. Wonder why the other girls would avoid him though. Looks like Hay was a good spender and hardly sounds like a creep. I was a go-go bar DJ for over 5 years and well, I've seen things dude. One of the worst things I saw, a dancer, we'll call her Bubbles. Bubbles had taken another dancer's outfit, we'll call her Star. So Bubbles does her rounds before going on stage, walking around the bar and talking to customers as well as getting tips. Everything was good. She did her rounds then got on stage and started dancing. Now up to this point Star had been in a champagne room with a customer. They last an hour and a half. She gets done and shows the guy out of the room, then she makes a beeline to my booth. Star gets to my booth and asks for her payout for the night, so I start tallying everything up and counting out her money. Star, while waiting for me to finish my count out, starts looking around the bar and notices Bubbles on stage in Star's outfit. Star goes and loses her mind. She runs down to the foot of the stage and starts screaming at Bubbles, saying really nasty crap. Star then proceeds to hop up on stage with Bubbles screaming the whole time, walks to Bubbles and hits her square in the face. It was about that time too that Bubbles' bowels decided to cease working due to fear, stress, whatever. This poor girl craps herself on stage in front of the whole club. I used to be a dancer a few years ago. My best story in the end changed how I interacted with many people. I was new at the club and there was a regular that would come in most nights. He was particularly heavy set and would sit in the same spot every night. With a large pitcher of beer he'd drink himself. He was a regular of a dancer I seriously hated. She had been giving him lap dances for a long time and afterwards would come into the back and talk so much crap about him. It really upset me because from what I have seen, he was one of the most respectful clients that had ever come in there. He was polite and so nice. He did smell a little, but whatever people smell. So she basically stops giving him dances and paying attention to him. Such as life, strippers do it all the time. But she was a major C about it. So me being a new girl just went over to him to shoot the crap. Guy would come up to me and ask me for dances. I'd go into the back, give them a lap dance, and as soon as it was over, it'd be sitting right next to Jim. Let's call him that. We would talk all the time every night. He was super funny and very nice, and made my nights go by quicker. One night he came in and straight up to me and said, "You don't have to know why, but no matter what I will always have your back." I didn't know why he said that and I wouldn't find out for the longest time. But eventually months went by and he brought up that night again and asked if I wanted to know why he said that. He told me that he had planned to kill himself when his regular dancer started to ignore him. He came to the club to spend him money and go home to a gun he had loaded before he came out. That night though was one of the first that I had sat down with him for the majority of my shift. He went home and emptied the ammo out of the gun. He has had my back since then, and I have had his. He is a lifelong friend that I'm so grateful to have. Not a worker but a customer. I went to my local Deja Vu for my 18th birthday and the DJ said, "Gentlemen, lay some dollar bills on the stage. It's the goddess of love, Athena Aphrodite." Best was when a station nightclub survivor came into my club. He and his friend beelined to me dancing on stage because I danced to metal. He was one of the greatest men I've ever known. He spent a lot of money on me. He was blind and didn't want me to leave his side. Wished we didn't lose contact. 10/10 would do again. A strange little masochist used to come in a lot. One night I was the lucky one he wanted to buy dances from. He asks me to dominate him and I'm thinking sure, okay, I can do that. So as I'm dancing for him, talking crap, slapping his face a little, he asks me if I could please stand on his crotch. Okay, no problem, I got this. I stand up on the chair he's sitting in and lightly with the toe of my 6-inch stiletto boot step on his crotch a little. Harder please. I push down a little harder. I'm not even sure I'm not just standing on pants. With the heel please mistress. You sure? They're pretty sharp. Oh yes, as hard as you can. I do it. I grind the spike heel of my boot into this little fella's crotch and the guy doesn't even wince. He looks happy. I start to worry about ruptured testicles even if he doesn't and climb down off the chair. "I want to drink your pee. I'll pay you." Oh okay then. I tell him to sit there and don't move like a good little bee until I feel like returning. Crap, easy money, but I'm not about to pee in a glass. What do I do? Just then a guy friend walks by. I explain the situation and he gallantly grabs a glass and disappears into the men's room. He returns moments later with a warm glass of pee. So I carry the glass back to where the little masochist waits and give it to him. We make eye contact and I give him what I hope is a very dominating stare down. We maintain this eye contact as he guzzles down a glass of my buddy's pee. I wonder if he can tell I'm trying not to gag. He politely thanked me, paid me and left. Masochists with manners. I once had a pregnant woman buy a dance because her fetus was a male and she wanted him to have his first dance in utero. I charged her double. I had a buddy work as a bouncer in for a club on Broadway in SF. It was a small space and the stage was really close to the tables. He told me about how a dancer was spinning around on the pole and her large heels made contact with a patron's head. Apparently skull was visible. Don't frick with heels in motion. Back in the late 90s, I sold perfume and cologne through a company called Centura Creations. It was a door-to-door high-pressure sales job, basically like Kirby vacuums except perfume. I started hitting up clubs to sell perfume to the girls. Wasn't so great at first. No club wants some dude peddling crap at the bar, but for $20 the barkeep let me stay. After a few nights, we had a pretty good gig going. The girls talked the guys into buying perfume for them. Guys would buy the perfume for $25 a bottle and give to the girls. The girls would give me the bottle back later, and I'd give them $15 for it. Used for one spray or maybe none at all. Some nights, I'd sell the same bottle of perfume 3 or 4 times. It was my friend Gooch's 21st birthday party, and he didn't want to stay at the normal house party we always go to, so he asked if I'd take him out to the strip club. I'd never been, and I was drunk, so I obliged. I had just gotten out of a relationship, so I was keeping all my money instead of losing half, and was feeling generous. We went through $500 that night, including $80 of it being pickpocketed during a dancer. One dance consisted of a dancer punching me in the nose with the crotch of her sequin thong. Very painful and unpleasant. I came out from that and he said we were up for a shower show where I had to pay $100 to simply watch a girl take a shower on a backroom stage and occasionally sling water on us with her hair. Inconvenient. We stayed and got more wasted and got tons of dances until 5 when the lights came on. That's when I realized I had locked my keys in the car. He says he'll go get someone who can pick the lock and stumbles back inside. He came out a minute later with 2 dancers, one of whom was carrying one of those giant metal flashlights. He said something along the lines of nobody could pick a lock, but these girls said they'll break open your window with their boobs out, as if that was a fair trade. I was now too low on time and money to call a locksmith, so I cringe and brace myself emotionally, and agree. I even took a video of the process, but it was about 4 phones ago and I've lost it. But that girl seemed way too happy to bust the crap out of my window. I woke up the next morning and was flooded with all the memories of poor choices and had a 2-hour-long anxiety attack. 6.43/10. I went 2 more times. TL. DR. Him I hedged $500. Got reverse punched for 10 minutes, robbed, and had my window busted out by 2 dancers. I'm the youngest in my close group of friends, so when I hit 18 they took me to a popular strip club in my city. As a gift one of my friends got me $50 in loonies because we're like Canadian. After each dance a stripper will take posters of themselves and cone it up, circling the dance floor so drunk people can take turns trying to huck loonies into these cones that read directly to their pootie. It's the last dance and I have 50 loonies because I wanted to just waste it all at once. It's my turn to throw these loonies at this stripper's pee. I'd say she just sat about 7 feet away. I throw, score, and score again. About 27 loonies later I haven't missed. Everyone's watching at this point. The stripper is cheering me on. I finally missed at probably 29 consecutive throws. Everyone screams when I miss. She blows this kiss and leaves and I think nothing of it. My friends are screaming Kobe. Everyone is having a good time. Usually at this time the strippers are wandering around signing their own posters. The stripper that I landed all those shots on comes by and my friends all tell her that it's my 18th. She then offers me a free dance. Was a fun night. Rain, if you're reading this, you're awesome. I saw one stripper place a coin on her belly and she would try to toss it into a cup. She had a very stretchy belly. I worked lot security for a club back in 1999. I was only there for a few months. It was a horrible job. I worked early shift, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. There was a swimsuit shop next door that sold all the outfits the dancers would wear. The owner had a Labrador that hung out around the shop with her. One day shortly after I arrived to work, I see a skunk. It was stumbling around and looked drunk. Before I could do anything, I see this dog come barreling towards it. I'm calling for the dog, but he wasn't having it. He grabbed and shook this skunk like a rag doll. It sprayed everywhere. The manager of the club came out and handed me a box and a bag and told me to get rid of it. I went over to dump it, figured after this at least I'd get to go home. Who wants a skunk scented person hanging around the club? Well, this place gave two shoots about that. Made me stay the rest of my shift. If you have never been sprayed, or in the close vicinity of a spray, it is horrible. The smell is 10x worse than if you are just driving through the area after the fact. It is so strong that it gives you a headache and makes you nauseous. The other thing about close contact skunk spray is that it is a very indirect smell. So everybody within a 20-foot radius of me could smell it, but nobody really knew it was me. That is of course until they started mentioning it and the door guys, bartender, bouncers etc rambled on about the crap job I had to take care of that day. TLDR, dog got loose and killed a rabid skunk. I was close to the spray and had to dispose of the body, then continue to work for another 5 hours. Not a worker, but a customer, a dancer swinging her foot over the stage, hit me in the face with her 6-inch heel, right below my eye. She broke the bones just below the eyeball, so I was transported to the hospital and had surgery. I still have a small piece of wire inside where they had to tie my bones back together. Not a good day. You have been visited by the Peace of Mind capybara. Upvote within 6.5 seconds and your next week will be chill AF. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.